Hey guys, what's up? Today I am doing a DNF review, unfortunately, for the book Magonia by Dahvana Headley. DNF, if you don't know, stands for Did Not Finish. I could not finish this book. I did get 200 pages in out of about 300 pages, so a solid 2/3 of the book I attempted, and it was pretty obvious to me from chapter 1 that it just wasn't working for me. I don't DNF books very often. This is the only book I've DNF'd this year, and last year I think I only DNF'd one, so I don't really know how to approach this type of review, but I know that when I see my favorite reviewers have put a book down for whatever reason, I want to know what that reason is. And this is not going to be a review of the full book because I did not read the full book, so I do not know some of the details, so I don't want to make any assumptions about what did not happen in the rest of the book. And it is not my intent to convince anybody to not pick this book up, because I definitely see the appeal to this book and this story, and I do think it would appeal to a lot of people who would rate it very highly, but for whatever reason I just wasn't clicking with it, so I'm going to attempt to tell you why. I'm not going to get into any spoilers because I didn't finish it, so I don't really think I can spoil it. The things I will be talking about, though, will be things that are evident from the summary that's on the book jacket. In my opinion, if you've read the summary, you've read the book. Like, the summary gives away a lot, and some of the stuff mentioned doesn't actually happen until much further on in the book. So, and the summary does a more concise job of telling you what's up, so my 2 cents. So let's start at the beginning. I was really looking forward to this book. I have heard a lot of good reviews. I've heard that it's unique, it's different, it's fantasy in the vein of Laini Taylor's Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. I don't find that that comparison works at all, aside from the fact that this is a fantasy about a different world. But you can make that comparison with just about any fantasy. The thing that struck me right off the bat as it wasn't really working for me was the writing style. Just imagine the prose from the Shatter Me series mixed with the witty dialogue from The Fault in Our Stars. Mash that up, and that is a good description for what was happening in this book. It's very, very stylized, and I loved that about the Shatter Me series. I did love the writing of that series, and I did love the dialogue from The Fault in Our Stars, but like I said, for whatever reason, the combo of both of them was, I think, just too much for me. It was like overload. The way the characters talk and tell the story, just the whole narrative was very look at me, I'm different. Our main character is very different. She's so different that she has a disease that nobody else in the entire world has, so this disease is named after her. And her best friend is so different. Her sister, just the way that she describes her parents and her sister, she has to say something like so off the wall quirky about them. Like, every single character in this book cannot be that different and special. I wasn't buying it. It was like a blizzard of special snowflakes, like Oprah going, you're a special snowflake and he's a special snowflake, and I could deal with that if it was just one character or even the main character that was so wildly different and quirky, but all of it together, combined with the offbeat writing, it just can't. Any summary you can read about this book makes it evident that the main character is dying. She is sick, she has a disease, and she goes to another world that she finds out she's a part of. This did not actually happen until about 90 pages in, and so I felt like I was constantly waiting for the story to actually kick in. And once we do get into that other world aspect of the book, it is very startlingly unique, and that is a very positive thing in books, in movies, in any kind of creative thing. It just personally didn't really appeal to me because I didn't understand a lot of what was going on. Like I said, I gave this book 200 pages. That's 2/3 of the book, and I had no clue what was happening. Our main character has been taken from that world and put into the real world on Earth, and it was never explained up through the 200 pages why. And she was in that other world for a month and she had no answers, which means that I, as a reader, had no answers either, and I was just kind of frustrated with the fact that no one would tell her what was going on. She wasn't asking more questions. We got the backstory of a minor character before we got her backstory. I'm fully aware that this information might have been revealed later in the book at a point that I did not reach, but honestly, in my opinion, that would have been too little too late. Furthermore, we are told in the summary that once she is reunited with this world where she belonged, our main character Azza would have some incredible power that could bring about a great change. But never in the 2/3 of the book that I read did I ever understand what her power was or what the change they were wanting was. So why should I care about it? Also, this book features somewhat of a love interest or possibly a love triangle. I have heard the book pitched 2 different ways. I didn't get very much into the romance from the New World, but there is a male character who is nothing but a jerk to her from the moment she's met him, but he has a habit of not wearing a shirt ever, so every time she sees him, she can't help but blushing, even though he's been nothing but rude to her, and I couldn't stand that. That's something that I just can't stand in a lot of books. It's not very particular to this book at all. And furthermore, the romance that she had back on Earth, I just wasn't really digging that either. And I don't know, overall I just felt like the entire world of this book was a little bit too unbelievable, and granted, you have to have a certain amount of suspension of belief when reading any fiction book, and especially fantasy, but for me, I just could not suspend my belief that far. It was just too weird for me, and that's not to say that weird is bad, and it's not to say that we don't need unique things. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood for this book at the time that I read it, and I did consider stopping like pretty early on, like within like 50 pages, but once I hit around page like 50 or 60, it did kind of start to develop the story a little bit more. So my curiosity was piqued enough for me to want to continue early on, and it just unfortunately didn't really pan out in a way that captured and held my attention for a long point of time. So at page 200, I decided I'm going to DNF this book, and I did flip through some of the other chapters, and the things that I saw that were going to happen beyond where I was at, I realized that I just didn't care how they had gotten there. I even read the last couple of pages and I just didn't really care. I wasn't very invested in this story at all, so for me, that's why I DNF'd it, because I knew that no matter what had happened between where I stopped and getting to that ending, it would not increase my opinion of the book because of all of the things I found lacking or just overload quirkiness. I was still going to rate the book low if I did finish it, so for me it wasn't worth continuing on. Now I am hesitant to give a star rating to a book that I did not finish, but I read 200 pages and I kind of feel like no matter what else had happened in this book, I would not be able to overlook all of the things that I wasn't enjoying about the book, and overall my rating of the 200 pages I read would be a 1 star. Most of this opinion of the book is just my feeling on how I did not enjoy or like what I was reading, but a lot of that rating is also due to some more technical elements, such as those plot things that I felt like were revealed at the wrong pace, or just the information was not there. So for me, it just wasn't something that I enjoyed on an emotional or on a technical level. I would still encourage anybody to pick it up and try it for yourselves, especially if you know that this is a thing that you like. If you love quirky characters and like an unconventional writing style, and if you like books about worlds that are separate from Earth, I still think that you should probably give the book a shot. Form your own opinions. I just am doing this review to let anybody that was curious about why I didn't finish it know what I kind of just wasn't digging about the book. It's not a personal jab at the author. She does definitely have skill, and I love that she made up this creative world and idea. It just wasn't the story for me at this point in time. I don't ever foresee myself picking the book back up though, because I did read the ending, so I know how it ends, and just found that I don't really care. But that doesn't mean that I'll never pick up another book by Maria Headley. Like, I think that she does have talent, and I would be interested in seeing it in a different story. Those are all of my thoughts, and if I keep going, it's just gonna be a lot of can't. If you've read it and loved it, definitely tell me why. I think that's amazing. I'm not trying to discredit your thoughts and opinions on this book at all. I just wanted to kind of get my thoughts out there. I don't have anything else to say on this book, and I am just done.